Okay.
Here we have a typical class 2 case. The molar advanced, upper anterior flaring, deep bite. Now, the measurement is basically the same. Mesial of the molar, the buccal groove on your first molar to the mesial third of the canine bilaterally. Mesial third of the canine to the buccal groove on the on the molar. Now, you're gonna bond these in place, and now in the bottom what you're gonna do is when the patient comes in and you start, they're committed to the treatment, you get you'll have your study models. With your lower study model, you can either at that visit or at a subsequent visit, if the second molars are in, you can go to your second molars. If you don't have your second molars, you'd have to go to your first molar.
Okay.
These little things are called sidekicks. Okay? So all you do is bond a sidekick onto the tooth, snap your impression, and then you go make the snap over or scan. You make your snap over. So now the patient can come, once you have this part, the upper motion, you already have that in place. All you have to do is prepare the lower snap over, put it in place, and now you're gonna run with this case. You're gonna start with a F1 elastic for 1 month from this hook on the canine to that sidekick in the bottom. Hook on the
So what is the snap over you're talking about? He just bonded that, but what's a snap over?
The snap over is just you need a 0.04 like it's a retainer, like a clear retainer, but it needs to be like a 0.04. That way it's going to be rigid, because this anchor back here, you don't want to send these teeth flying.
Right.
So when you put your snap over and engage this elastic, the load is up here, sending these molars back. Once the molars start coming back, you're going to start getting spacing between the lateral and the canine on bilaterally. So in this case, a class 2 case, you're going to start with an F1 elastic for 1 month, and you're going to start seeing the space developing. After that, you go to F2 elastics for the rest of the treatment with the elastics. So now the patient comes back, let's say after 3 months, you got a nice white space develop here. You've got a nice white space develop here. Your molar is now way back here. Your upper molar is way back here.
So
it's like a super class 1.
This doesn't, when it goes against the second molar, it doesn't make
a difference. So now you got almost like a super class 1 molar with that mesial way back here.
I'm familiar with that, like a distalizing thing.
Now,
distalize.
What you're going to do when you get to that point is you're going to now bracket. You already take this out. Take that out. You bracket. You use your molar brackets with hooks here, molar bracket with hook, or without hook, whichever is your preference. You bracket this thing with SLX 3D brackets. Okay. You now come bracket your lower arch.
So can I ask you a question? What if you just did an arch wire sequence on the lower to get to like a 018? Well, you know, your biggest wire instead of
you don't need it.
Oh.
I'm gonna show you the wire sequence. So now you got your spacing.
Yeah. You
got your molars in class 1, super class 1. So now what you're gonna do is you bracket all through here. Right back to your molar. Now you're gonna start with a 0.040 copper night tie wire.
Okay.
And when you run your wire, you're gonna now take a chain from your second premolar, engage first premolar, skip your canine. You're not putting that chain on the canine. And then on the distal of your lateral, you would have had a stop, not a stop, but a crimp hook on here. So you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4 units of chain, but nothing goes on that canine. That canine just sits there. Okay, and then you come over, and on the distal of that lateral where you have the hook, you just thread that piece of the chain onto here.
Okay.
So, because you don't want to pull on your canine, you're ignoring the canine. Same thing on this side. So now what happens is, because you have a space here and a space here, that chain hook onto your distal of the hook on distal of the lateral pulls this back. So all this flaring you got here goes away when you pull that back. Okay, and after that, you're going to go through the wire sequence. I'll go back then and show you the copper-9 tie wires you're using.
Okay.
And that's where you finish in your case. Now, if this was a class 3 case, it's basically the reverse. In a class 3 case, you would do your measurement because you're coming from molar to canine.
Putting on the lower.
And you come on the lower.
Wow.
And now what you would have on the upper in a class 3 would be a bonded bracket, and a snap over.
Okay. Just as
so now you're pulling from this canine to back here.
Okay.
So what this is doing is sending this whole segment forward. If you find the patient doesn't have much bone support in the class 3, let's say they're really flat up in here, then bracket this entire arch and use you bracket the entire arch, and then you run in your elastic from canine to the hook on the back molar. Same sequence. Force 1 elastic for the first month, then after that force 2 elastics. And it sends this, it corrects that class 3 remarkably well.
Wow.
Okay? The whole success or failure of this thing depends on elastic wear. If you're wearing the elastic, it goes rapidly. The profile improves remarkably. Okay? Let me go back there. I'm going to show you the wires.
Okay.
And